Hey, what's up, everyone? Hey, I'm Kintu. If you don't know me, I'm Kintu Sankara from Black Empowerment Movement. I have my comrades, Rakem Balogun,
Yo, peace and power.
and I have King Ace. And King Ace, tell people about yourself. I want to do a little brief introduction and tell people about yourself, your platform, your organization.
My name is King Gates with the Black Girl Family Movement. We have a revolutionary 9 point platform where we do different community survival programs. We work in conjunction with Guerrilla Mainframe and other revolutionary organizations to create a newsletter. And we have a program called the Vanguard Community Survival Program where we try to give back to the community, with theory, putting it to practice.
And that's good shit. And Rakim, I don't even feel like we need to introduce you, but go ahead, man. Tell the people about yourself and your platform, the organization you belong to.
Most definitely. Of course, I'm Rakem Balogun. And for those who don't know me, I'm just a local organizer here in Dallas. I've organized with numerous groups here in Dallas. Pretty much majority of the ones that are revolutionary. I've had some type of relationship or had some type of coalition of solidarity with them, such as GML, you know, BEM, he would be Gun Club, Geronimo Tactical, and of course, Black Royal Family. You know,
Already.
one of the groups I work with today.
Man, good shit. And everyone that's watching out there, please be sure, hey, go subscribe, like, share this. Right now, we going live. I see you. Let's see here. Rich Ross, we see you, baby. Appreciate you for tuning in. We appreciate that. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel and share and like. All right, let's jump into this. Rakim, I'm gonna ask you this. I feel like you the subject matter expert on this. Just real brief, what is Black August for the people that are out there that don't know? What is Black August?
Okay, Black August is a month where Black people, as a whole, acknowledge not just Black people, but all people can participate in it. But the highlight is for Black people who are incarcerated as political prisoners, as well as acknowledging the culture of resistance historically. Of course, it started in prison with Black August, and it initially started with a couple brothers in prison, doing certain things such as doing political education together, working out, um, as well as things such as fasting. It has there are numerous ways to practice it, and of course to be specific. When I mean fasting, I mean fast from food as well as media and other things that may distract you or your focus from the culture of resistance. And so, it started in the prison system, and different prisoners. It made its way out that particular prison system and made into numerous prisons with different prisoners doing it in solidarity. Of course, we're speaking of prisoners of consciousness. It's not something that you know everybody's doing in prison, but this is something for those who believe in a revolutionary spirit to do. So that's what Black August is about. It's definitely about culture of resistance and a culture of honoring those who have resisted on our behalf.
Okay, all right. And I'm glad you brought that up because I don't know about you and Ace feel this way, but I feel like a lot of time that get lost in the shuffle because Black August, the sound of the name Black August is catchy, but I don't think people really gravitate to the people first of all that created Black August, or and know the people that started it in and behind the wall. So I think a lot of time that people that's new to Black August kind of don't know that history of how it was founded, and I'm glad it's starting to pick up and people get to know the true history behind it as well. Uh, uh, King Gates, let me ask you this, like if I'm correct now, correct me if I'm wrong. You served a little time too, right?
Yeah, I did 7 years.
Yeah, did you know anything about Black August behind the wall, or did you hear anything about it?
No, I didn't. I didn't never heard about Black August until I came to Dallas and
Yeah.
linked up with Gorilla Mainframe.
Yeah, so would you say, like, if you been behind the wall, you see the importance of, like, maybe, like, if you would have known about it, the resistance behind that wall, would you seen a bit how it could have been beneficial to you in any type of way?
Yeah, I had seen something, where they was talking about in Attica,
Mm-hmm.
just for them honoring George Jackson. It had caused like a big riot in Attica where the prisoners went, they try to resist and take over the prison, and it was a bit like a bunch of guards and inmates was assassinated and slaughtered.
Mm.
So they didn't even try to bargain with them. They just went in there, and all the COs that was in there, they slaughtered them. It was just a big thing from Attica prison, but it was all inspired from Black August resistance and the dragon George Jackson. So I had heard about resistance, but I didn't have a concrete analysis of what Black August was.
Yeah, yeah. So what you reference, did that happen while you was in there, or this like?
Oh, this happened. This happened, shortly after, because George Jackson I had read something that said he had inspired over 100,000 inmates from
Mm-hmm.
his writings. So this happened after he was assassinated. Probably a few years after that. Was if somebody researched it, I can research it. The Attica riot. It
Okay.
happened a few years after George Jackson was assassinated, and it was their way of standing, in solidarity with him. And they didn't.
And then I feel like, because this is a more so a prison movement thing, it's not as catchy as most pro black stuff. It doesn't have anything to do with festivals or anything like that. They actually take you working out and fasting and giving up some, so it's not as catchy as most other, for lack of a better word, pro black stuff. Um, it and any one of y'all can shine in on this. Do y'all see the important? Is it important to, as Black society? We Black people. Is Black August something important to our group of people as a whole, or it's just something like it's more of a niche for a certain group of type of folks? So it's something that the whole collective really need to incorporate and practice.
Uh, I would definitely like to chime in on that if I can. Well, it's definitely important, especially in this day and time, and and it was important, going back to 19 August of 1971 when George Jackson was killed in San Quentin prison. Um, the reason why it's important because one, our people have to be reminded to resist and what is proper resistance. Also, it's very important because we live in a day of information technology, artificial intelligence, and a lot of distractions and a lot of devices. Information comes very fast these days. So there means that there's a lot of information that could come to us throughout the day to where we're constantly being distracted. And sometimes we're distracted by things that don't matter, you know. A lot of times, the biggest issue I have seen is that, we're more distracted by celebrity culture than revolutionary culture, and particularly the ones who identify as revolutionary. I expect, just typical conscious people, because just because you're conscious, that don't make you revolutionary. That don't make you resistant or anything of that nature. You're just aware of something. You know
Mm,
what I mean? And so, our people, one of the main things that's important with Black August is number one, fasting. Because when you're able to fast, you're able to focus. You know, and when you're able to focus, you're able to put your mind, your spirit, and your body behind a certain concept. So also I feel that Black August is practiced from small groups in the free world, but I feel that the way a lot of people practice in the free world is watering down. They're watering down the resistance, you
mm,
know, and they usually water it down through some form of control opposition, you know, and that control opposition is usually like, okay, we're doing a Black August event, but the focus is not resistance. The focus is just more of people being unified. And we focus on, unity, for the most part, 366. I mean 365, a year, but we have to focus on unity with a revolutionary principle, and a principle of resistance. And so a lot of times, a lot of people do not like to go into uncomfortable waters and really talk about what real resistance look like. Because when we look at what real resistance look like, it is nothing sensational about this. I can't go on side net of TV and get you hyped up on resistance. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to be about real resistance and try to scam you at the same time. Those two, they just don't add up, And so also real resistance requires sacrifice. And I that's something that I don't really see that culture of people not saying like they need to sacrifice their lives or their health, but they definitely can sacrifice certain time, certain energy, and most importantly, they can sacrifice their ego. So I think that Black August, for us in the free world, the way it's practiced, we can be a lot more disciplined. But and two, on the other hand, when you're in prison, it's a lot easier to be disciplined. I'm sure, my brother Ace can chime in on it. It's a lot easier to be disciplined because you don't have too many distractions, right? Like
Right.
when you're in prison and you reading your book at 10 o'clock at night, you don't have to worry about a chick texting you like, yo, I'm finna come through.
Right.
That's not that's not gonna happen, right? Or you're not gonna have your kids waking up with a stomach virus and you may need to tend to them. Unfortunately, you won't be around them. So usually when you're in prison, you can focus on political education, working out, and any other education. But when you get in the free world, that becomes challenging because we have a lot of distractions. So that's one of the biggest uh, struggles that we have dealt with, and I've dealt with myself personally. I'm not just speaking on other people, but I'm really speaking from a reflection of myself. That Black August, that for those of us that practice in the free world, that it's a lot harder and it requires discipline, and a lack of distraction.
well, since on that, you talk personally. How do this current Black August? How did you practice resistance? I think before we jumped on the live, me and King, we was talking about what we did this Black August. Like, and Rakim, which like, what was your way of practicing Black August this year?
Well, one of my ways was really focusing on the resistant culture within my household.
Mm,
Within my household, I have 4 children, and I even have children outside the household. And with those 4 children, they those four children kind of connects me. They're like the connection to the children in the community. So, the children in the community, they definitely know me. They know who I am. They know my name and things of that nature. And they know me for like, working out or just motivating them or educating them on something. And so, one of the things I did was, implement a workout routine to somewhat, build that spirit of resistance within the youth. And both you guys know and how my workout routines go.
Yeah.
Um, it's more than just working out. It's a lot of chance, a lot of response. It takes teamwork, effort. We have to be on one accord, things of that nature. So, pushing the youth working out, teaching them how to resist themselves and their own desires. So if we're doing burpees and they're starting to burn out before we reach our goal, I encourage them, hey, you have to fight through this. This is not going to be comfortable. You're going to have to resist yourself before you can resist anything else. So, of course, was I able to read blood in my eye with the 10, 11-year-olds? No, I wasn't. But I gave them an idea and a concept of blood in my eye to where they can accept it and relate to it at their age, where it's not something that's too radical that it's hard for them to kind of capture. So, that's the way I did it. Now, historically, Black August, is have been a bigger thing for me in the past. Like, when I became vegetarian back in 2013, I embarked on that, right before Black August. So when Black August came in, I was able to commit to my fast and becoming a vegetarian. Ever since, I have not looked back. And even with in 2019, Black August, I actually 2018 Black August, I committed to veganism.
Mm.
Also Black August have flea days, and these are very important events that happen during Black August that we must acknowledge. And so historically on the flea days, we was told, we would fast without eating and go without sleep. And that was something that I was very consistently doing. I was very committed to it, not eating, not sleeping, doing political education, and still working out. And so these are things that I definitely would, I definitely need to get myself back into, get back focused, because I think one of my biggest distractions this year was just working. And of course, I have a, a serious case, that has to do with resistance and defense that have been preparing and pretty much getting ready to embark on. And like I said, just the family life. So a lot of that I struggle with getting balance, but for us moving in the future, I definitely would move a lot better.
And then, and that's, man, I'm glad you brought that up. Like, pu- that alone, getting your mind ready for whatever that may come your way is a way of your own Black August. Of preparing yourself. That's because you it was for resisting. Uh,
Mhm.
King Gates, me ask you. We talked offline, but what were some things you did for your Black August? Like, what did you do? What was your resistance?
Right. Before I answer that, I just wanted to correct. I had said that it happened a few years later after George Jackson, that riot in Attica. I
Yeah.
googled it. It said the Attica Prison Riot, also known as the Attica Prison Rebellion. Attica's massacre or Attica's prison uprising was the bloodiest prison riot in United States history and is one of the best known and most significant flashpoints of prisoners' rights movement. So they definitely was trying to resist.
Hell yeah.
It happened a month after George Jackson was assassinated, September 9th, 1971. But for me, Black August, I just try to work out 5 to 6 times for the week. We had did an event to start Black August. We all went on a group hike, trying to get myself more involved doing political education, and we just ended it with a feast and political education on Sunday. I really my main thing that I was trying to do was get myself to get back working out, and that's what I was able to accomplish.
Yeah,
Working out consistently on high level, So that's what I was doing. To get myself back working out at least 5 times a week.
yeah. And that's the key. I feel like with Black August, like no matter how hard you go or what you do, long you do something,
Right.
long you, for one, I feel like long you acknowledge the people that started, pay homage to them guys first and foremost. Try to embody something from one of those individuals. Try to
Yeah.
embody something, and then of course do some type of fast. Give something to make some type of sacrifice. How big or small it is, do something you haven't been doing all year, or something that's out of the norm. Like me personally, I gave up alcohol this month. I didn't go out to no hookah lounges. I didn't go hang out and party. I ain't no party person. I know this hard to believe for a lot of people. I ain't no party person. I hate crowds. I hate being around big groups of people. I get anxiety real bad. Like I hate it. So, but yeah, I was laying low for real, leaving the booze alone. So trying to drink more water. But other than that, uh, and study the people that founded it. Get more in touch. A lot of times I read George Jackson, and we know about George and Jonathan. I try to learn a little more about the other guys. That's not relevant. Talked about. They don't have books we can go grab off the shelf. Let's read about this person from Black August. So you had to take a little time, do a little deeper research, and learn about those men as well. So I just tried to challenge myself on that for Black August. Man, I have a question regarding resisting, like, and I during Black August I challenged myself with this question. I asked myself, like, what are we resisting against today in society today? Like, what can we say? Like, I'm resisting against this. Like, this is my stance, and I'm resisting against, or the people should be resistant against this. Like, I challenge myself. Like, I didn't want to say the vague terms like, "Hey, we are resisting against capitalism and imperialism." Like, you talk to a common person on the street, like, "What the fuck you talking about? What is imperialism? What is capitalism? What the fuck you talking about?" So I try to challenge myself to break it down to you can. If I was talking to a damn baby, like, what are we resisting against? And I want to get y'all take on that.
Yeah, I think that you have to be able to, people can't relate to the capitalism, right? People can't relate to the word capitalism, but if you tell a person, that you make $1, right? The person that you work for is making $100, right? And you doing most of the work, and you don't like your job because you making $1 and you making $100. For every dollar you make, your boss is making $100. They can agree with that. That's economic violence. But I think the main thing for me with Black August was us, letting people know that we can, we need to create mass movements to try to get some of these political prisoners free, right? A lot of these political prisoners, they can be freed if we had, mass movements and we was pushing with resistance. The way we be protesting, we need to be outside them prisons. We need to be in contact with these people that's in prison. And I was just, trying to bring awareness to the fact that a lot of these elders that's in prison unjustly, I don't feel like we fighting hard enough for them. We're not resisting hard enough to get them free. The movement.
That's a big point. I think just hop on that real quick. I agree with you because we always talk about, for example, Batulu Shakur. I don't, and a lot of it's many other guys. I don't think we talk about them enough. Like you just recently said, like we should be going harder for political prisoners. Like those are prisoners of wars. They not criminals or anything like that. They are captives, you know. And if we in revolutionary struggle, we claim we at war. In war, you fight for your people. That's prisoners of war. So I think we most definitely should be going a lot harder than what we're doing now. That's a great point. Rakim, you want to add to that, or like what are we resisting against?
Yeah. One, you know, we're resisting, one of the oldest enemy to black people, our ability to determine our own destiny and things of that nature. So, that's definitely racism, white supremacy, under the guise of, imperialism by way of capitalism. Um, all these things go hand in hand, you know, and you can't, it's hard to really discuss one without another because there's a relationship with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's kind of like, it's kind of like blockchain technology, that's used in finance, that's used in information technology and things of that nature. The way blockchain works is that you have information, a block of information that's connected to another block of information, and they pretty much depend on each other, and if one moves away, they'll find a way to just link and keep carrying on, the transfer of information. Okay. And that's how it is when you're dealing with capitalism, white supremacy, imperialism, racism, all of those have a connection with each other, right? So when we talk about, white supremacy and racism, what we're talking about initially was, you know, historically, whites have, stolen and raped and maimed Africans, and currently, not just in Africa, but all over the world, and as well as dispersed us all over the world, right? Now, they didn't do this for the sake of white supremacy alone. They did this for the sake of capital, for profits, for gains.
That's
They
right.
didn't do it because they just wanted to find some type of demented way to torture uh, 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 some millions of Africans in West Africa, and they just wanted to do this weird experiment. No, it was all for gains. Okay, that's what it was for. The bottom line. And so even till today, you know, um, we due due to those games, we understand that a culture of, not treating black people humane and giving them their full human rights, and of course civil rights, is something that comes from, the slave trade. Because of course for those institutions that was behind the slave trade, they had to find a way for, regular white people to buy in on this concept and not feel morally wrong, which was contradicting their Bible. So that's why we say, capitalism, right? Imperialism, is one feeling like their motives and their agenda, prioritize over everybody else, even if they're in that space or not. That's a concept of imperialism, right? Imperialism is saying, hey, even though Kintu, I'm your next door neighbor, and we have a few cars over here. We're running out of space. I'm just gonna park in your grass because my car is more important than, your right to determine your own destiny with your home. That's the whole concept of imperialism, but that concept comes from the need of capital. So that imperialism go into making white people supreme, to be imperial. So that whole concept, all this stuff relates. It definitely relates. The whole origin of racism was for capital,
Right.
you
It's a
know.
byproduct of capitalism.
Right. And so these are the things that we resist. But of course, we will resist them on different levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, we resist, imperialism by resisting white privilege, you know, um, and demanding that you're treated and respected, and under the concepts of civil rights. We're resisting the criminal justice system. We're resisting the economical system. We're resisting um, even certain elements of the education system, and just media as a whole. And pretty much we were resisting this so we can take control of our mental psyche, of our mind,
Yes.
you know, because if we don't do that, then of course certain elements of capitalism will still be a priority within us. And those elements will be elements that will be, which are rooted in white supremacy and imperialism. So when we resist, there's different levels of resistance, you know, and certain people have to resist based off their conscious level and where it leads them to. That's the whole point of political education. Because now we can talk about this stuff and analyze this stuff, you know. If we talk about the reason why we should resist certain big businesses, you know, we may find out the reason why we resist this business because it's function off of prison labor, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, am I saying that by Rakim not going to Whole Foods and buying a vegan club sandwich is that it's gonna stop Whole Foods relationship with the prison industrial complex completely? No. But what it does, it make us aware of it. It builds a conviction, and we execute on that conviction. And so, we start by executing on smaller things, and as we continue to become more and more conscious, then you'll find yourself executing on bigger tasks.
Got you. Uh, I sometimes I feel like I don't think, and maybe it don't even matter that people not into resisting at all. I think, do y'all ever feel like people are just happy with reform? I'm not, and me ask you this: do y'all think reform is necessarily bad, a bad thing for our people? Like, do we need to be either you totally resisting or you with reform, or we need to have like a middle ground somewhere? Like, how y'all feel about that? Like,
I feel like reforms are all right. I feel like reforms are good as long as they integrate with revolution. And to give an example of a reform that I do agree with, that I would support, would be something like when we're speaking about police terrorism, community control over policing. I think that type of reform, that can take away the characteristic or the element of police officers coming into our community acting as a foreign troop. I would say that a reform of that, magnitude, I would definitely support that. But I would say, overall, that reform, as long as we can articulate, to the people, the positives, the pros and cons of the reform that they're gonna engage in, if they want to support it, and we take the time and politically educate them on what the reform is, the pros and cons of the reform, and as long as it's not, getting in the way of the final revolutionary goal, I would say that reforms is good. Reform is often help uh organizers, mobilize the people, to organize the community in a political fashion. So sometimes I would say reform is good.
okay,
I would say reform is good while pending revolution.
Mm.
Reform shouldn't be the overall end goal. And I feel that I do feel like that a lot of our people have had the resistance taken out of them. And the thing about it, right? You know, what was that in the book, The Die for the People, and in Revolutionary Suicide, Huey P. Newton, he talks about the guy who, is swept away by the broom, and the guy that's beaten by the stick. And he's talking about an analogy, right? You
Yep.
have some people who resist, and
Mhm.
all the master have to do is just, kind of get a broom and sweep at their feet, and they go running, you know, 100 miles per hour, not even looking back, you know. And then you have some of those who have to actually get beat down, you know, to kind of be, to fall back, right? I think black people are the first analogy. I'm just talking about as a whole, as a collective.
Yep.
They don't have to do much. All they have to do is just, pull out their broom, sweep out our feet, cut some, give us some SBA, some stimulus, you know, um, give us a black female vice president. uh, and we don't require much to, like this time last year we was past 100 days of protests. Black August last year was very important, and we all dropped the ball. I'm gonna admit on here today that I dropped the ball, but we dropped the ball because we can all day point at the people and say what they didn't do, but I can think about a lot of things that I didn't do
Mm.
to educate the people, um, to make sure they was aware, because a lot of times we think, oh, I made post every day throughout the day, but we already know for those who have actually done real boots on the ground organizing, organizing does not start and end on social media, you know, and making these little posts and thinking that it should stick with everybody and they should take that on, but we dropped the ball for us creating that culture, and so what happened? Well, we was able to get ushered into controlled opposition, you know. Um, we got ushered in to um, being content by seeing uh, Trump losing. And not only that, but we got distracted by watching everything that came with that. It was just like we really protested over 100 days. Just we protested all the way until the election.
Right.
Then we let some AKA with some pearls and Chuck Taylors and a sleepy old racist, sneaky racist white guy come and just usher that protest to the voting booth.
We good now. We got Trump. They was like everybody once Trump got out of office, they was like, all right, we
We
back
good
to
now.
normal.
We won.
We got Joe.
We won. Exactly. But we should have been, one, we was political chumps. And then two, we had a lot of distractions going on. And I don't want to get away from Black August too much, but we had a lot of distractions. We had all these um overnight Black Panthers who just popped up out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? With these weird names, with what I'm saying? Um, coming and saying that they're the lead and they're the vanguard. And just a few weeks later after that, they became completely exposed. And everything just became a big entertainment,
Yeah, you right about that. I remember now.
Yeah, um, We was content with guys just showing up couple hundred deep and protests and stuff like that. And everything just became like a big entertainment thing, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't no real demands being made. There wasn't no final, we didn't establish, final revolutionary goals. All we wanted is change, and we wanted to stop police brutality, which is continuing today. They just became smarter and they cover it less on media now since Trump out.
And
You
then
know?
Katrina just come and she said they won't even let Kamala hold a press conference. She been MIA.
Oh yeah. Which, even if she did, it would be irrelevant because Kamala has no interest in changing the status quo for Black people for the day.
At
She,
all.
as a district attorney, and that's another thing, we must remember this, guys. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when we have these conversations, we must remember that we protested police brutality all spring, all summer, just to vote a cop in and be content with that.
Right.
A cop who was even even as they're even as them practicing their law as a district attorney, who never show any leniency with children, Black children, or people of color children, or adults. She was known for locking up parents and withholding evidence on a serious murder case.
Mm-hmm.
So these and the reason why is because of lack of political education. Now you got, I
Right.
have comrades who was a part of Guerrilla Mainframe who criticized political education, and I'm like, why? Where do you get this from? You know what I mean? Because political education gives us a direction on where we're going, and we can explain why we're going to a political scientific method.
Right.
Just like we explain how capitalism is the main root of white supremacy, white privilege, imperialism, classism, and et cetera, et cetera. We can explain that and show with scientific evidence and historical proof that that's where that comes from. And so we have to have that analysis. I feel that, you know, we have became we have maintained being reactionary, and we pretty much have to really, the revolutionaries, we really have to really look at ourselves in the mirror, you know and ask ourselves, have we did everything we could
Mm.
to, you know heighten the consciousness of the people? We have to be in 2021 and beyond. We're not going to be able to use the old 1960s style of organizing. We're not going to be able to get people to meet us at the park, have a rally, and pass out apples and bottled water, and people will sit out there for an hour or two and listen to what you have to say. We
Hell
have
no.
too many distractions. We have big tech, and big tech is definitely working for the agenda of capitalism. And so it's going to take us being able to be innovative and convicted and
Right.
finding new ways and new approaches, and and even using tech ourselves to bring on this culture, which we're doing it today with, a Zoom call, Facebook and things of that nature. But I feel, and I'm talking towards myself and those who have organized with me over the years, because we know better. I feel that we should be a lot further along right now. We should
Mm.
we should have more tech, you know, technology, more technology, for as you know, YouTube channels that can compete with the top notch YouTube channels. We should have we should definitely have brick and mortar, you know,
Headquarters.
because without brick and mortar, if the people don't have a place to go and access you, and they can only access you on Instagram and Facebook, then you can't expect them there for them to move their revolutionary consciousness off of social media. We have to make ourselves available, you know, in which we're not. And there's
Right.
no reason why we shouldn't be available. Because last time I checked, ain't nobody out here doing no BLA type stuff. We ain't robbing banks. We ain't offing no pigs and nothing. And we're not even talking about nothing like that. What pretty much what we're talking about is how can people in our community work together and be unified and change certain things that's going on, you know, and bring about that change, institutionalize that change. And
And man, I'm glad you brought that up. Like you you made a big point. Like we should be further ahead for the ones that consider themselves vanguards, and in that aspect, we we got to look ourselves in the mirror. I think a lot of times we feel like we like to point the blame at the society of the people we trying to pull ahead as vanguards, but we got to look at ourselves like, are we are we being creative enough to stimulate the minds of the people
Right.
we trying to organize or be vanguards for per se, and a lot of times we're not. And I think some of the blame for that is because we get so memorized by what the Panthers did and the stuff they did in the good oldie days, and
mhm.
and we like, fuck, why this shit ain't working for us? Because the times have changed. That was fucking like
Right.
40, 30, it was a fucking long time ago. So
50 years, 60 years.
yeah, we gotta get more creative and get more up with the times, and we gotta trade, we gotta blaze our own path. Like we could take those core concepts, but we gotta do some new shit. We gotta get creative. Like the Panthers did. They didn't do what Malcolm X did. They took some of his core values, his core things, but they put a whole new twist on the shit they did. And we gotta be that. We gotta be innovative like that. Like Rakim said, we gotta be innovative. We gotta be creative. We gotta figure out what is the tools, what is the things that can mobilize and organize the people we trying to reach. Usually it's the youth we trying to reach. Like right now, I'm pushing 40. I'm not a young person no more. So I gotta keep up and figure out the people that's in their early 20s, what things they're doing, what they're on. They on TikTok. I ain't even on TikTok. I might have to start getting on fucking TikTok instead of doing a YouTube channel.
TikTok,
Like,
Twitch, all that stuff.
what is Twitch, man? I ain't
That's
never
what
been on
video game.
I
That's
ain't never
video
been on a
game
Twitch.
social network. You
Man,
know.
see, I see there. That's something right there. See there? I'm old already. So we got to get with it. Like, damn, I ain't even on no Twitch, man. I don't even know how to get on Twitch. So, so yeah, like we got to get with it, man. So, that's a great point, right, Kim? We got to get with it, man. We can't keep pointing the finger at the people saying, "Oh, these niggas don't want to do this. Oh, these niggas don't want to do that."
Yeah,
Uh,
it's very easy to get into that. But
yep.
see, you know, we gotta. This is the thing, right? When you have the debates, right, and when it comes to sport, and you know, you
They don't. She
you know
right
when
about that. They
you
don't. They don't
cannot,
think they do.
huh?
No, I was reacting to that comment.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. Go.
okay, I'll say this and be quick. So that's why it's hard on ESPN for them to compare Michael Jordan to LeBron James,
Right.
or even compare Kobe Bryant to LeBron James. Okay, at the end of the day, they all ran their own race. You
Right.
know, of course they admired each other, but you know there are some strengths that each one of them have that the other don't have. and there are some weaknesses, you know. So of course, how will LeBron James play like Michael Jordan when there's an obvious size difference? You know,
Rules,
the rules are different. It's a totally different game. The
right?
culture is totally different, right?
Mm.
When Michael Jordan was playing in the latter 80s and stuff like that, in the team meetings, everybody was focused and glued in to whoever was talking. Now in team meetings, you got one person talking, everybody looking down at their phones and listening at the same time while they're, doing whatever, right? It's a totally different time. And so we have to find ways to be the LeBron James and organize. You
Mm.
know, we have to find our strengths. We have to find our weaknesses, and we have to use those things. I think a lot of it is what stops us is our egos, our pride and our egos, because our pride and our egos will not allow us to step out there and fail,
Mm.
you
Mm.
know. And some of our prides and egos are a little bit too big to fail, you know. And so, that's one thing, by just jumping out there, doing it. Like, for example, boom, we're doing streaming right now, So we have to be consistent with if we're going to stream, if we're going to do podcasts, do videos, whatever, because of course, right now, right now, you know, you may only have, 20, 15 viewers or less, but as we keep on being consistent, that snowball is going to eventually have an avalanche effect. And before you know it, just like I was telling, my comrade Ace, is that, before you know it, you will have people 2 years from now going back listening to your first episode. Your first episode had only had 20 views by the end of the month. And 2 or 3 years later, you go back and your first episode have 800 views, you know? And so we have to be one, we have to have courage. We have to have commitment. We have to not be afraid to fail. You know, let me tell you, the capitalists are not afraid to fail. Do you know how many times Warren Buffett failed?
A lot.
And when you study these venture capitalists, when you look at guys like Jeff, which Jeff, his situation is a little bit different, but even Mark Cuban, he failed numerous times. But having that tenacity to pull yourself up and keep going forward and staying committed to the principle. So that's why Black August is very important, that we fast, we focus, that we have political education and have somewhat of a political um, a political accountability group, because technically, how most businesses, they have their calendar year, and they have a fiscal year. As revolutionaries, we should have a political year, right? And that political year should always start in August.
Mm.
And August is kind of like an incubator. You know what I'm saying? It's like it should help you when September hit, you just take off. You know what I mean?
Right.
You take off because
We were talking
one,
about that. Me and
you
Kente were
miss.
talking about that.
Hmm,
Before the show, me and Kente were talking about we should, we want to use this month to motivate us to go forward.
yes, for the rest of the 11 months.
Right.
This is really in a political year, this is month one, and it sets the stage, being political education, in and even still maintaining fasting. You may not fast with the same discipline that you did in Black August, but you will continue, to maintain that fast. You'll continue to maintain working out. You'll continue to maintain strategizing, organizing, and and two, just being more disciplined.
Right. And one more thing before we get off, I want to go back to Katrina's comment. She said the people have been rocked to sleep as long as the basic needs are being met. They don't think they need revolution. Man, that's a big one. I think we all
That's
said
heavy.
a lot.
That's heavy. That's heavy, Katrina.
Yeah.
Shout out to Katrina, man. That's our comrade, man. We can't, we got to acknowledge Katrina
Yeah,
as
Katrina. Yeah,
somebody.
that's BEM right there. She definitely come out to support all organization, especially GMF, everybody in the Fort Worth area. You know, she lent a hand, whatever needed. She told me, she always tell me like, Kintu, I'm just a soldier. Just tell me where to be at. I'm like,
I believe it.
okay.
I believe it.
But that's heavy though,
Yeah.
and that's one of the struggles we got to deal with. But even though the people's basic needs are met, it's always something else not being met though that we need to zone in and focus on. I feel like something is definitely being left out, you know, because if that was the case, we wouldn't still be having the high crimes that we have. People because of something not being met. That's why people still do petty crimes. Something is not being met, you
There's a
know.
lot of things that's not being met, but I think what she meant for is food, clothes, and shelter for the majority of us.
Yeah.
There's still a big homeless population in every
Right.
city, in every county, in every state.
Right.
United States, you know how United States does. It sweeps its third world under the bridges and the alleyways of your
Yeah.
community. So you don't know that, hey, I'm actually living in third world, but
Bro.
um, but just like it's always been said, conditions create revolution.
Mm.
Right.
Conditions. But you got to understand the capitalists know that.
Yeah,
See,
they
the
do.
thing, the capitalists are way more politically educated than us. We have to catch up to them.
Right.
Okay. They understand this shit to a scientific method, and that's why this shit been rocking the way it been rocking.
And read all the books.
Exactly. Read all the books. But with that being said, they won't create those conditions until they know they got us. What I mean is they're currently building their infrastructure, right? We're just, playing video games, watching TV, not really paying attention what's going on. Then, before you know it, somebody come in and they'll take something off your dresser. Then before you know it, they come and take the dresser. Then you take the bed, and before you know it, you wake up, they're pulling the PlayStation while you're playing it, right? But
Yeah.
that same PlayStation, it would have you distracted when they empty out the rest of the room. Now they're taking everything. But keep in mind, they knew once they take the PlayStation, we're going to resist because now it stops us from being distracted. And we have no choice but to acknowledge this elephant in the room, which is a vacant room. And once we resist, they're like, okay, now we're ready for you to resist because we have something, we think we have something that's going to be able to stop your resist. So that's why you have had numerous revolutionaries saying that we shouldn't wait till the capitalist society create the conditions where we have no choice to resist. We must meet them to that before they meet us.
Mm.
We must meet them with our agenda before they meet us with their agenda.
Right.
Okay. And because we meet them with our agenda, then they either have to um, be diplomatic and go along, which would be still a form of reform, or they would have to embark on premature civil warfare or revolution and things of that nature. And that's not what they're trying to do because they're still. You got to understand that right now, especially in this day and time, we're in a big international market. You have China their economy is number one. You got India number two. America economy is number three. Okay, so we're trailing behind. And the way things are going, based off of the economy alone, we're America's already in trouble, and so of course it needs as much diplomacy as possible. That's why big businesses, smart money, hedge funds, got behind the Democrats, right? They got behind all the candidates, but they really got behind the Democrats because the Democrats are the ones who are the most diplomatic internationally and nationally, not just internationally and nationally. And they proved that, right? We seen Biden, Pelosi, and everybody else with their kente cloth this time last year taking the knee, and, and these Negroes was very happy. Some of them, they got that picture as their cover page on their Facebook. You know what I'm saying? So, um, so of course by doing that, um, and by improving relations with China, which happened overnight once we got Biden in office, because you don't have a president keep saying, the Chinese virus, constantly saying things like that, and and referring to them in a certain way, because we have business relationships with China.
Yeah.
Their businesses are on our markets, and a lot of our market depend on their businesses. So that's why it's very important that we shouldn't just go along and be alone because they give us a little bit. When they give us a little bit, we should see that as a weakness. We should say, "Oh, dang, they giving us. Dang, hold up. Now we had a Black Lives Matter NBA season. We had, you know, all your grocery stores had Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was everywhere. Now you go to them spots, you don't even see the shit no more, right? It was just like we was in a. That's how we know we had this system,
It was so obvious, man.
but we didn't execute. We didn't execute. We was too happy to run ourselves to that fucking polling, to that poll. We was too happy. And even now, the SBA, the PPP, the STEMI, man, we got the buying cars and stun and they opened up the club too. Oh, they knew what to do. They opened up cities and states knowing that was not going to be a solution. That wasn't a real viable solution. But they had to do that because one, their market cannot go too long with being suppressed.
Right.
Two, they know that as long as we're not in their plantations, either on their phones, on their machines, or mopping, sweeping, whatever we do for a living,
Sure.
if we're not doing that, then that means we're not distracted, right? And if the government's paying our bills and stuff like that, then we can focus on things that actually matter now.
Right.
And man, that's heavy shit right there. And that just give you an idea of like the toolbox the enemy has to put our people back to sleep. And I guess I'm gonna end it like this. To bring it back to Black Ops, with knowing what we going against and what what tools they have, and what we taking from Black August, how can we come out of Black August and push forward now to incorporate that culture of resistance to our fellow people that we trying to organize? I guess I go to you, King Ace, first. You coming out of Black August, with your organization, like, what is your plan to, like, we've been talking about the things we dealing with, our own faults, what the enemy is using. What you plan on taking from Black August to incorporate moving forward, going forward?
I continue to, I want to continue to build a pipeline between my organization and the political prisoners. I wrote several political prisoners. I want to embark on this revolutionary podcast to build a revolutionary platform. I think we really need that. And then also integrating that platform with, practical programs. So we want to start pushing the back up the Vanguard community survival program. So that's the three things I'm focusing on.
Man, good shit. And I definitely want to reach out to you. I want to start coming back out to Dallas and working with comrades out there. I kind of miss making that drive out there. I don't mind making that drive out there. I need to start back dealing with my folks.
Hey man, you be north of us, man. You so you know
I gotta get back out there,
you
man.
be over there and we know what parts of towns you be coming to over here, man.
Yeah.
No, man, I'm gonna come
Above
to
the
y'all.
airport, you know.
I'm gonna come to y'all side. Oh man. I'm gonna fuck with you, Raquel. What you got planned on moving forward with Black August? Now I know you got the kiddos now, man, but I be seeing you, man. You on the low making moves over there, man. What you got planned moving forward?
Well, my biggest thing is, trying to get, other channels off the ground. Of course, you know, uh, I'm working in a part of Black Royal family. So, we have a lot of endeavors that we're trying to work on and
Okay.
get off the ground. But of course, with me, I'm not just somebody who believe in, one organization. I believe as a collective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just, and historically here in Dallas, we have had our most political influence and did our greatest thing when we have had a mass coalition of solidarity. We have to get back to that.
Mm.
We have to get back to solidarity. Our groups can maintain being autonomous, but we must, make sure that moving forward that we work on, you know, incorporating our interests and our work ethic. You know, and two, we're gonna have to get off of here. You know, uh, of course, we're gonna come on here to reach the people that we need to reach,
Mm-hmm.
but next time we have these type of discussions, even on the Zoom and social media platform, we need to be in person. You know, that's what it's going to take. See, one of the biggest things that when you look at the church, we must really. I think the conscious people we become so disgusted by the church that we don't really look at the value of the things they do. One thing they do have, like I said, is a brick and mortar, and they're constantly interacting with each other face to
Right.
face. So no matter you know how somebody's faith may kind of wander off and things of that nature, Sunday or Thursday for Bible study or prior rehearsal on Wednesday, you're going to get straightened and tightened back up and get back on your holy road. Well, we're not doing that as revolutionaries. We're not meeting up. And two, a lot of times we meet up in our own groups. We have to get out of that. We have to get out of just meeting up with our own groups and meeting up with collectives and encouraging others to meet up with collective, even
Mm.
if it's just having a basic conversation. We need, why we're not having any conferences. When you look at the revolutionaries that's here in Dallas, you have the country heavy hitters. You got the cream of the crop. You got a lot of great revolutionaries in other cities and states, but I'm talking about historically. When you think about 10 years ago and 10 years before that, and 10 years before that, Dallas was doing revolutionary things. We can go all the way back from the 70s with the original Panthers. We can go to the latter 80s with the new Black Panthers and the start of the new Black Panthers being here in Dallas. And we can go up to the early 2000s with other organizations uh, that were similar to New Black Panthers but different ideological wise, such as Gorilla Mainframe, uh, and other organizations, BEM, Black Royal Family. There are just so many different organizations and groups that we have here in Dallas today. Well, we have to find some way for those who are revolutionaries, because now what I'm seeing in Dallas, you kind of have more of the revolutionary scholars kind of linking up and doing things and having conversations. But the revolutionary, like boots on the ground type guys, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? And if we don't allow ourselves to continue our work in person and continue to build the culture, then what's going to happen? You're going to have a subculture that's going to come up from that, and that subculture may be politically educated. It may not. It may be militant. It may not. But we won't be able to criticize that culture unless we do the things that we're supposed to do. So, moving forward, that's some of the things I'm gonna be trying to do. I'm gonna be trying to get us together as a collective and find, I don't care if it's a small program or whatever, to where we can have everybody have equal amount of leadership. Because that's another thing that we must focus on, not having one solid leader, but having numerous leaders
Yep.
come together and meet up in a diplomatic way. And the people need to see that, because George Jackson said in Blood in My Eye, there would not be no super slave.
Yep.
So what that means is he's referring to us, the working class black person. There won't be this super polite guy that's gonna land with a cape and he's gonna have all the answers. Because a lot of these people, they go to Sinetta channel looking for these people.
They looking for that super Negro.
Yeah, and then because somebody show up with a lot of information and things of that nature, we expect this one person is going to be the lead. We saw that with Huey, we saw that with Malcolm. It's going to take every single one of us, and that means those who are listening and viewing. So moving forward, that's what I'm gonna be doing.
And on that note, people, to close it out, if you like the things you hear, you want to reach out, hey, go to Black Royal Family on YouTube. Find his channel, reach out, email him, Black Royal Family. Look up Rakem Balogun on Instagram, Facebook. Reach out to these brothers, man. If you in the Dallas Fort Worth area, reach out to these brothers. That's all. Get together. And we not know people that get message and ignore it and just say, I don't know this nigga, I ain't gonna message back. No, we not like that. Hit us up. Reach out to me on Black Empowerment, our Instagram, Facebook. Kintu Sankara on Facebook. Hit us up. We all need to organize together. It's gonna take a collective to get this done. And I'm definitely gonna be reaching out to Rakem, Black Royal Family. We're gonna be doing more stuff like this, talking about a variety of topics. I like this. This is my first time doing StreamYard. I like this convo. I like how it flowed tonight, and just from this conversation, I kind of want to divvy off in another topic, but I'm trying to stay in the lane because Raquel, he was like, oh, I'm like, man, I want to go down that road right there. But we gonna try to keep it in Black August. That just mean we gonna have to do this again, Rakim and King Gates. We gonna have to do this again. But other than that, people, please be sure to check out Black Empowerment Movement on YouTube. Subscribe, like, share. Please do. Black Royal Family. Subscribe, share, like, look it up. And other than that, people, we out of here until next time. Peace and power. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
All power to the people.